All right, now we get the fun chorus lead, which is up here, and we're just going to be picking through 3 notes, and I'll start at 11 on the B, 10G, 11B, 13 on the high E. Hit the 11B, 10G again. And then when we come up and hit this 13E, we slide it up to 15, back down to 13. Alright, and then we more or less continue it again. We just switch one note where we'll be at our 11B, but then we're going to do, instead of 10G, it's going to be 13 on the D, and everything else pretty much stays the same. So we go 11B, 13D, 11B, 13 on the high E. Okay, 11B, 13D, and then we slide our 13E, 15 back to 13. Okay, so everything stayed the same. We just switched that 10G for a 13D. And then we just finish it off by getting back to our original spot and just going between the 11B, 10G, 11B, 13E. We'll just go through that a couple times, and then it's that ending, F dynamic. And at the end of the first chorus, and this also happens at the very end of the song, we get this G dynamic at the fives, where it's 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. Alright, and there's sort of a funky thing that happens during the second part of the second verse, where the guitar just kind of switches to some, octave notes and just some like dead string strumming. Alright, so we're going to start by hitting 5D, 7 on the middle D for kind of this, G suspended thing. And it's a little bit offbeat, a little bit funky. We hit it, then we do 4 dead string strums. Alright, come on up, hit this octave at the 8s on the Ds, the low D and the middle D. Alright, 4 dead strums. Then to the 7s, and then a couple dead strums. So it's... Alright, it's okay to get some like little harmonics in there with those. It's supposed to be noisy and kind of off. And repeat the initial 2 spots, the 5 and the 7 to the 8s. Alright, and then at this point, we're going to go slide the 8s to 7s, back to 8s. 4 strums, come on up to 10s, 4 strums, back to 8s, and then we just drop down to this F octave at the 8A, 10 on the G, and this you just strum out 5 times. For the bridge, we get into a big scaling up of some octave notes here, and this will start at 6 on the A, 8 on the G, and it's just 1, 2, 3 down to 5 and 7 for about 5 times. Alright, repeat that twice. Then we come down here at 1 and 3 a couple times, 3 and 5 for a couple, 5 and 7 for a couple, 6 and 8 for a couple. Okay, end up on 8 and 10s. Do this 3 times. And then back down to 5 and 7 for about 5 times. The second part of the bridge, and this is kind of the first part of the outro, the very end, we kind of switch, to a higher up octave now, and we're going to be at a G and E string here, all right, and they're about 3 frets apart. So we'll be at 3 on the G, 6 on the E, and it's the same type of strumming vibe. We do 3 strums there, slide down a fret to 2 and 5 for 5. Okay, do that twice. Then we'll do our 3 and 6 a couple times, 5 and 8 for a couple, 7 and 10 for a couple, 8 and 11 for a couple. Okay, come on up to 10 and 13 for 3. And then down to 7 and 10 for 5. Right, the second part of the bridge, the kind of final little segue back into, the main chorus and all that. It's essentially, the main progression, the verse chorus progression, but the dynamic's different. We're here, we're just going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 strums and cut. All right, move down to the E flat at the ones with the same thing. Drop down to the B flat for the same deal. And here, after we do that, just before that measures out, we come way high when we hit 20s on the B and E. Just for some crazy dissonance, Right? And then land on this scaling up octave. That's pretty much the same way we ended the first part of the bridge. The 1 and 3 on the A to 3 and 5, 5 to 7, 6 and 8, and then to 8 and 10. During the final chorus, it goes through it a couple times, and then this lead part comes in where it's just kind of adding some octaves over the top of it. It'll start with a measure of just 3 G 6 E, and then next measure will be 5 and 8, 7 and 10 for the third measure, and then it does this F octave at the 8A 10G in that same ending verse dynamic, the 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.